ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week. It's Friday. The weekend is here. The Breakfast Bankroll with good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb, as we've been here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and now Friday. What we do at the end of this week on this show is basically talk about the in-pocket plays. We might be able to break down a game or two on Game on Paper. Talk about the NFL game where Cool Joe, that's Joe Flacco, not Joe Burrow, just pick apart that Steelers defense. Guys, I said all along here, I was not worried with the Steelers at 4-1 and the Ravens as they're at their bye at 1-5. Lamar's coming back. I know they got to work on the defense, but I'm telling you guys, it's not the steel curtain of old. It's the aluminum drapes where Steelers have been known for defense and tough, gritty play. It's not that way right now as the Bengals upset the Steelers last night on a walk-off field goal. ECSI VIPs, I put in bold letters, live dog on the Bengals. All survivor players that got cute and played the Steelers have a drink on us. So first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download that app. It is free. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. You know the drill by now. Steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, wines. Terry's got it all. Okay, 4 subscription plans as well. Do what I do. Set it and forget it. Find the plan that's best for you. Every 30 days, there'll be a box. It's like Christmas of steaks, chops, you name it, get you through the month. The only thing you'll need is a spare propane tank. So without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, good morning. It's a Friday morning, right? It's nice, comfortable. I think we'll have a good weekend of football. I think we have some pretty good games tonight that Miami plays. So interested to see how they look. And interestingly enough, I think people are sitting there saying, hey, this California team's not that good. They're betting on North Carolina. So, the numbers come down under 10. So, I think what is that number? It's like the number's like 9 now and 8.5 in a lot of places. People are betting on Bill Belichick. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's dropped to as low as 9. It's actually 8.5 at DraftKings, 8.5 at the Hard Rock and Fanatics. We will get to that. We'll get to the NFL as well. This is our football show. I get it, but I just want to quickly talk about the bases. This Dodgers pitching staff has just been amazing. They've had one loss in the playoffs. I said something to a good friend, a part of the ECSI clients and family last night. I says, I think if you took Seattle and Toronto and combined them, I'd still have the Dodgers favored here. And I'm going to backtrack here because when someone is down, we've seen this in baseball before, by the way, where the road teams win all the games. And I'm now in Seattle here. Seattle wins the first two games. And what's really mind-boggling is how they won the first game, meaning they had just wrapped up a 15-inning game, packed their bags. The first game was a giveaway, but they found a way to win it. The second game, they put up double digits. Now they come back home, and the Jays woke up. So last night was kind of a must win, I thought, for both teams, because if the Jays win, now they can breathe. They slept easy last night and they did win, of course, because they know they're going back home. They know they're going back home. I wake up this morning and Jeffrey Benson basically has now the Jays favored to win the series, where you could have got them plus 600 two nights ago. Now they're favored, and they're favored tonight. There's been a flip overnight because Gosman's on the hill versus Miller. What have you seen in this baseball, especially in the American League, Scott?
Well, I think the one thing that is very evident in this series is that Seattle really doesn't have a home field edge. I mean, their home field is not and wasn't that way all year. I mean, like that team is a. So let me ask you this question: the Yankees are all about Aaron Judge, right? Well, in my opinion, the Mariners are all about Cal Raleigh. And Cal Raleigh's not having a great series. So I mean, he's not doing the damage. So if he's not out there doing the damage, they're not winning. And it's kind of like the same way with the Yankees. If Judge isn't doing the damage, they don't win. And you can see what's going on with the Blue Jays. You know, they're getting 3 and 4 hits from guys that are 8th to 9th in the order. What's his name? The Jimenez is hitting bombs and tying up games and putting them ahead and doing stuff that it's like, and he's hit like 5 home runs all season. So I think that there's a huge difference in how the offense is generated for each team. And that doesn't mean that, Seattle can't win games. It just means that, they need Cal Raleigh to do a lot. And if they walk him or if he gets out, then, it's not going to help them. So I think that's a big issue. And where you think Seattle has edges is the starting pitching, that they have an edge there. But, as you've seen, it's Seattle's starting pitchers this year anyway, especially with some of the injuries that they had, I think are way overblown, overrated. There's only one pitching group that is dominant, and we've seen that, and the Dodgers just go out there and hold teams to 1 run or 0 runs every game. And you can't beat the Dodgers if you score 1 run or 0 runs. You need at least a handful. So you're going to have to figure out how to score 5-6 runs to beat the Dodgers. And I don't see anybody doing that. I think, I don't know, the Dodgers are the Dodgers at this point. What are you going to say? Their 4th best pitcher is probably the best pitcher on either one of these two teams. Ohtani going out there and throwing is better than any of these guys that they got for either one of these two teams that are pitching. Now, I did think Scherzer pitched a pretty bulldogish type game yesterday. That's his first start in a month. And, he gave up a mistake. He gave up a home run there. But after that, the Blue Jays got right back in the game the next inning, and, he didn't allow nothing. And he was, his old Mad Max self yesterday. So I thought that was kind of interesting that he pitched pretty well. We'll see what Gosman has to offer today. Gosman's Gosman. He's good at times. He's elite every once in a while, but he can also get crushed. And I think Miller pitched his best game. So I think he's due for a letdown kind of game. He pitched the best game, in game 1. And I think that he'll probably pitch his normal self this time. I think the Blue Jays win again. and then they go home and they only got to win one of the two games at home, and now Seattle's got to sweep them in Toronto, and Toronto does have a huge home field edge. I mean, just pull up the standings. Hold on, let me pull them up. If you pull up the standings and you look at this, and you go, hey, what's going on here? Standings. There you go. So let me slide this over so I can see it better. Bum, 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 bum. So Toronto at home, 54-27. 54-27. Hey, PB, good to hear from you again. And you know what? PB's doing a great job. We asked for help. We asked people to help spread this word of mouth, and he's doing it every day. And you know what? I sincerely appreciate it, and I love it. And thank you so much. I hope we get more people doing these things. Look, we're trying to get from 200 views to 2,000 views. And the only way we're going to get there is if you guys help us get there. So hit the link button, the subscribe buttons, the forwarding buttons, tell people you like the show or whatever, and then if you look at what the Seattle Mariners are at home, Seattle, they're 51 wins, 30 losses. But a lot of those wins did come late. At the middle of the season, they were a 500, even below 500 team at home. So I really think there's a big edge. There's a big edge there for them at home. And just to get you kind of in line, the Dodgers are 52 wins, 29 losses at home. So that's a significant number, but it's not as good as what Toronto was. Toronto at home had 54 wins. I think they're the best. No, there's one. The Phillies had 55 wins, and then Toronto had 54 wins. So they're the second best home team there is. So when they got swept at home, that was amazing to me that Seattle did that, and that could have very easily set Seattle up and should have, but now they've lost two games in Seattle. That's not good.
No, and again, this is our football show. So again, Otani versus who knows, probably a bullpen game for Milwaukee.
It's going to be Quintana.
Quintana. Okay,
oh my God.
Yeah, throwing 89 miles an hour. Toronto and Seattle at 6:08 to start the day. Overnight Miller opened up 110. Now at the Circa. Good morning, Mr. Benson. Good morning, Mr. Stevens. Toronto minus 109. There. But the funny thing is Seattle has 1-2 in Toronto, number one. Number two, they'll have the edge, I think, in the pitching matchups. You would assume Bieber and your Savage again will be the two scheduled back there. And Seattle probably at this point would be wheeling out what? Gilbert and question mark. They got a fourth if they need it. So it's not over. It's setting up for at least a 6 or a 7, obviously, but we'll talk about that anyways. Or actually, we'll be wrapping up and potentially talking World Series matchups on Monday here. Quickly on the NFL last night. Listen, I was not surprised. I was not shocked. All week, Tomlin bitching at the Browns. Why would you trade Flacco in the division? And the reality is, if you pulled the onion leaves back there and read through this, Tomlin knows his defense sucks. And he's got the diva there. And listen, it wasn't Rodgers' fault last night that they lost. Rodgers and Frymouth and company put up a 30-burger. If you score 30 on a short week on the road, you're supposed to win that game 9 out of 10 times. But Cool Joe, and that was Cool Joe Flacco, not Burrow, as he was on the field all upset. Upset. The Steelers, and I've been saying this all along. Listen, when you start the year 1-5, the season's over, okay? But when you get on a bye, you got a chance to regroup, and we know the Ravens can win games in chunks. I'm still not sold. I still think the Ravens can win this division, Scotty.
Well, they can. I mean, have you seen their schedule coming up? I mean, they play the Bengals twice, the Browns. They play two other teams that can't play. So I mean, their next 5 games, they're going to win all 5. So with Lamar back, so I think they're gonna beat all those teams. So certainly they can win this division. I thought that was a big win for Cincinnati last night. Plus, I think that, what's happening in Cincinnati is I think they kind of like Joe Flacco, to be honest. I mean, you get a guy that comes in there, he's 40 years old, and he can still throw the football. I mean, you can say whatever you want to about Joe Flacco, but he can throw the football. And now he's not in Cleveland anymore. He's got guys that can catch the ball. Of course, we had a couple of drops last night, but he's one of these guys that, I saw the numbers for Jamar Chase, Jeff, since Flacco's been there. He's caught 24 passes in 2 games. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? And that's the thing. When you have so what I'm getting at is I think Cincinnati team is starting to go, we believe in this guy. We can rally around this guy. And the other amazing thing to me, when you think about Cincinnati, is what got Joe Burrow hurt? A bad offensive line. What got his backup?
Browning.
Yeah, Browning. I kept thinking of B. What's his name? What keeps him from having good games? Well, the offensive line. He can't compete. Well, what does Joe Flacco do? Well, he gets the ball out. But last night he was under no pressure. He was able to have clean pockets 80% of the snaps, and he tore them up, and I sit there and I thought, you know what, that's kind of interesting in a sense that such a maligned offensive line was able to hold up against the Steelers, who really do have good pressure guys. I mean, they're able to put pressure on the quarterback. But, they didn't able to do it last night. And, they scored 33 points, 36 points, something like that.
33.
That's a lot of points in the NFL. So I sat there and thought, man, maybe there's some buy-in from the players to Joe Flacco. And, I'm not saying, when Joe Burrow comes back that Joe Flacco is the starting quarterback. That's not what I'm saying at all. But maybe there's enough buy-in that he holds them together for long enough that keeps them a little bit alive in that division too. I don't know.
Well, and I thought the one thing that people weren't talking about enough was the fact that the Steelers were 4-1 going into this game, and here the Ravens at 1-5 are going to a bye week. But the thing that was not discussed enough is both Steelers and Ravens. What did they have in common? They were both 1-0 in the division. So as you said about the next 4 or 5 games for the Ravens, number 1, number 2, they still got to play the Browns twice. They still got to play the Bengals twice. So my point is the Ravens are going to get fat like the Patriots have against weaker competition other than the Bills. So keep an eye on the Ravens. Again, when you start so bad, you got to play perfect. You got to play flawless. You have to win every game. And the problem with the Ravens hasn't been just Lamar. It's been their back end and defense. So we have a lot to talk about that as the Ravens are on their bye there. Couple college football games last night. That ECU team, Scotty, every time I bet their team total, they scored me. I leave them on the desk. They put up 41 against a bad Tulsa team there. But we got some games tonight in college and, of course, the weekend. I'm going to put up here, give me a second here, so everyone that hasn't been tuning in this week can get a look at Scotty's in-pocket plays. Pitt minus 10.5, A&M minus 7.5, the Huskies of Washington plus 6, Alabama minus 8, Notre Dame minus 9.5. I'm going to say this, and I don't think it's got brought up this week, is the firing of, I was going to say Pete Franklin, WFAN, long time, way back in the day. James Franklin at Penn State, and the first name that comes out is Matt Rule. Matt Rule played for Penn State. Here he is now in his 3rd year with Nebraska, and he's got them playing pretty damn well. 5-1, ranked 25th. 7-point favorites in Minnesota, who's 4-2. I'm going to say this, Scotty. You can't tell me there isn't a distraction in Nebraska this week. Matt Rule is gone to the front of that list. Adidas is going to have a big decision on who their next coach is at Penn State. I'm asking you personally, do you think there's any distraction going on this week as Nebraska travels to Minnesota?
Well, I think anytime that your head coach is named as a potential move to another school, sure, there's going to be distraction. Um, the question becomes is does it matter? Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't matter. I mean, to us, obviously, the line is supposed to make the teams equivalent, and then you figure out, who's going to be better than the equivalent maker. So we already know Nebraska is better than Minnesota. They just are. But when you kind of break it down and you look at this game, strength of schedule is Nebraska 66 and Minnesota 65. So there's no variance there. Turnover margin is plus 0.2 and plus 0.4. So there's not really any difference there. So where are the edges? Yards per point margin, Nebraska's much, much, much better. 36th and Minnesota's 90th, and quarterback QBR is 43-70. So just on the ancillary things that way, just a little bit, you can see that there's no question that Nebraska is the better football team when it comes to that. And then what you're looking at with the games on paper, there's no question the EPA per play shows Nebraska at 28th at plus 0.21, and middling Minnesota at plus 0.08, and then all the success rate, available yards, and yards per play, all that stuff is ranked 22nd or better. So I don't think people really realize how good Nebraska is. I mean, Nebraska is really good. I'm surprised. I mean, maybe it was early in the season, and that's probably why it wasn't. But the only loss that they have is to a Michigan team, and I don't think there's anything to sit there and go, yeah, well, Michigan's they're decent. So that's a good team. But at the same time, how does this match up? Look, the offense is 0.77 yards per drive. They rank 32nd, going against the defense that's minus 0.45. So you still have a little bit of an edge for the offensive side, even though Minnesota's defense is the strength of their team. But look at the other side. Minnesota's offense is negative 0.4 yards per drive, or point EPA per drive, and they rank 89th, and they're going to go against a defense that is negative 35 and ranks 38th. Minnesota's going to struggle. They're going to struggle to move the ball, and they're going to look offensively. Minnesota ranks 125th in rushing, which matches up to what Nebraska's flaw is. Nebraska can't stop the run real well, but offensively, what Minnesota's done good is throwing. They rank 51st, and Nebraska ranks 15th. So you got kind of a clash of what Minnesota does good, Nebraska can stop. And I think when you start to look at it, you sit there and you go, this game, I said this before, I think if this game was 7 or less, I think you got to be on the Nebraska side, even with all this stuff. I heard Brad Powers this morning, and Brad Powers goes, nope, you got to be on Minnesota because of what you just said. It's a short week, and not only is it a short week, you got distractions and you got this and that and everything else going on in Nebraska. And he's like, well, they got beat. The only game they lost was to Michigan, and that's not aging well because, Michigan doesn't look as good. So I understand all of those things. But at the same time, who's the better football team? Well, who's the better coach? Who's going to put a better plan together? I don't know. I think that the way I handicap this game, I would look at, I would either bet Nebraska or nothing, and I wouldn't bet it if it wasn't under 7, like 6.5. Game opened at that number. I think the game that it opened was, where's it at? They opened 5.5 and got bet way out. Remember, we looked at that and it was like, holy shit, it's 9 already. Well, it got bet back down. So, people were like, oh, well, just like what Brad Powers said. And I sit there and I go, well, it makes some sense, but at the same time, this is just not where I would go with it. I think if you could get it at 6.5, I think you got to take Nebraska.
Louisville 4-1, 1-1 in the division. Miami 5-0, 1-0 in the division. Number 2 ranked in the country. They square off tonight. The Hurricanes opened up at 13, now 13 and a half at Circa with a 50 and a half. I'm going to be honest with you. I've tried a couple times to sneak in a few team totals against Miami, and I've had egg on my face every time this year. Louisville preseason was supposed to be that sleeping dog flying under the radar in the ACC. Listen, fool me once, fool me twice. I'm not getting the banana in the tailpipe here. I'm not getting in front of this Miami defense, especially. Thoughts on Miami Louisville tonight?
Well, what do we know about Louisville in the past is they're all offense, right? They're just, the head coach Brom he's the quarterback guru, and they're just all offense. Well, not this group. This group, if you look at their offense, EPA per drive, they rank 75th. EPA per play on offense is ranked 81st. But look at the column right underneath it. This team is all defense. This team plays excellent defense. Their EPA on defense is minus 24, ranks number 1 in the country, and defense per drive minus 1.17 ranks 4th. So they're a very difficult unit to move the football on. Now, having said that, let me go look at their scores for a second. Having said that, they just played Virginia, and Virginia scored 30. Against them. They got beat 30-27. Pittsburgh scored 27, and that's before the quarterback change there. So Pittsburgh got beat. What was it? It was 34-27. Bowling Green scored 17. So now you're going to face a real offense. I mean, this is a real offense. Now, Virginia's got a pretty good offense too, but when you think about it, I sit there and go, well, how can this be the number 1 defense if they're allowing 34 points to this team and 27 to that team and so forth? Like Ohio State, for example, they don't allow those kind of numbers. So data-wise, they're doing really good. But, points, yards. So where that comes into play is yards per point margin. And if you look at it, yards per point margin for Louisville is 50th in the country. Miami is 12th. And then strength of schedule, Miami is 7th and Louisville is 67. And quarterback play, you got the 6th QBR quarterback rank in Miami. So obviously everything is going to shift that way towards Miami. And I don't think you can even legitimately talk about Louisville being competitive in this game if they can't generate offense. What are you going to do? You're going to get turnovers and have short fields and kick field goals and try to beat Miami. So I think where you run into in this game is do you really want to try to cover 13 and a half, or you want to the 14 number? I think that's a legit spot. I think that's a legit number. If I was going to bet it, I think there's a reason why it didn't get to 14 in the line, right? I mean, I think if it got to 14, people would snap it up right away. So I think you got to be real careful here that the defense doesn't get worn out. When I look at so if you look at the offense for Miami's number, and then you look at early downs, they rank 33rd, early third down success 37th, and average third down distance, they rank 19th. So that means that they're pretty good about holding on to the ball, making short gains to on first down to get 4 yards. And then okay, well, to make it third and short, they get 4 more yards. Well, that can wear down a defense. Plus, it takes time off the clock. I think this is a pretty good under, to be honest.
Might as well, since we're here, we'll go one more tonight because I don't know if it's the banana in the tailpipe or the Texas oil money came in all over North Carolina. They traveled to Cal. Bill Belichick, egg on his face 2 weeks ago against Clemson. All the are you getting fired? Are you not? There was a potential he wouldn't even be coaching this game. Opened at 11.5. Well, at FanDuel and ESPN bet this morning down to 8.5 with the Hard Rock and Fanatics as well. Your Vegas Superbook is 9. Caesars down to 8. BetMGM 8.5. Are you buying this steam, or is this just the banana in the tailpipe, Scotty?
I understand it. I understand why people want to bet on North Carolina, and I understand the spot here. But here's where I can't go and what I can't do. So one of the things that I think that you'll learn in doing this business is don't ask a team to do something they've never done. And so in retrospect, we're asking then North Carolina to be good on offense, right? I mean, that's what we're doing. We're saying, hey, you got to be good enough on offense to stay in this game and to cover numbers. You're going to have to score points. Well, if you look at where their offense ranks 125th on offense, and then EPA per drive, they rank 121st. Well, there's only 135 schools or whatever, so they're almost dead last. Their quarterback at North Carolina, he ranks 137th on the QBR number. That's not any good. And then yards per point margin, they rank 119th. They're a terrible team, and their offense doesn't generate anything. So why are people betting on the other side? Well, here's why. If you look at California's offense ranks 105th, and they rank 112th in EPA per drive on offense. They're two terrible offenses. So having said they're both terrible offenses, then you go and say, well, why is California getting any respect at all? Well, their defense ranks 30th in EPA net EPA per play, and then defense per drive, they rank 35th. That tells me that, North Carolina is going to struggle here a little bit to move the football. Now, having said that, everybody and their brother sits there and goes, well, remember when Bill Belichick used to be in the NFL and what he used to do with rookie quarterbacks, right? He was great at scheming up things that would confuse those guys and they would have trouble. Well, the quarterback for California, he's a true freshman. So what can he do to really confuse this kid? Probably a lot. So, and he's off a bye week. So there's probably stuff that he can do to really distort the viewpoints of this kid. So I think that I understand why people are betting on that. But if you didn't get plus 10, I don't think you want to be betting plus 9.5, plus 9, plus 8, plus 8.5. Because North Carolina, if I go look at their numbers, they show like last week, they scored 10 points against Clemson, 9 points against UCF, they beat up Richmond, and they beat up whatever CLT is, I forget. And then they scored. They basically score 14 or less every game. So if they score 14 or less every game, how are they going to stay within this number? Well, that's because California doesn't score either. So it's kind of like one of those, well, let's just say there's enough margin there maybe that you can get in it. I get it, but I can't go there. I can't get to support North Carolina, even though I think they're the right side, especially at this number now. At 10, maybe I could have supported that. But here, I don't think I can support. What's the total? I think the total is pretty low.
47.
Right?
47.
Yeah. I think the total's pretty low. I sit there and go, no, I don't like it. Kenny White's got a 28-24. I don't know how you get that many points, but he's got a 28-24 for Cal, which then obviously is a North Carolina cover.
Well, and I'll say this: I talked about the Matt Rule and the distractions there. Well, Bill and Lombardi and the rest of that staff have been put on blast. If they get throttled in Cal, that staff might as well just walk away because they won't see another game. Now, it's been clear it's divided where the money's coming. Some wanted Bill, some didn't want Bill. It's just a train wreck there. Maybe Bill and company know the egg on their face, know that they're dead men walking, and maybe one's thinking, or the sharps or whoever's in the inside are saying they've had a great week. This is where Bill turns it on, and they save face and move forward here.
Well, just remember that, a team like Ohio State, for example, there's 100 kids on that football team. And every season they're going to bring in transfers, and they're going to bring in, the new freshmen. So they're going to bring in like 25 new guys. Well, Bill Belichick took over a program that was very depleted, and they don't have 100 kids. They might have 80. And of those 80, theoretically, 70 are brand new. So, and he's trying to install brand new coaches, brand new systems, brand new everything, and do the best he can with, I think he came in late too. It wasn't like he had a full recruiting season. So he got the best of whatever he could get his hands on. So I don't really look at this as a complete failure for Bill Belichick. Not that I'm trying to give him credit for anything. But to be honest, his team doesn't look like a good football team. They don't, his quarterback looks terrible. But if he's the best they got, then he's the best they got. So, it is what it is when it comes to that scenario. But I just want to make sure I lay it out there that, look, this isn't like, it's a hard job in a sense of, taking 70 new kids and putting something together and having to go play TCU in the opening day and be good. But this is a spot that they should do well in. So I'm interested to see, California's defense isn't terrible. So it'd be interesting to see how that kind of matches out.
I'm going to give you the last game to break down before we head off for the weekend here. One of your plays at 7:30, USC travels to Notre Dame. Again, Notre Dame must keep winning. USC, great quarterback here. A number that opened at 8.5 with a 61, now 9.5 with a 61. I've said it all week. I'm going to say it one more time, guys. I saw 10s, 10.5s on Sunday, early Monday before this was released. So if they're telling you it was 8.5 and they're getting Notre Dame money, well, you can believe that. I'm actually saying it was the other way. There was some 10.5s. And now what they did is they needed USC money and they got it. But Scotty, this is one of your in-pocket plays, so I'll give you this game to break down.
Yeah, I think what you really got to realize in this game is if you like USC, I think you're going to see a 10 again. This number is going to go up. Brad Powers was talking about this morning. He's like one of the books out in Vegas already has 10. And he's like, look, this is going to go up again. And so if you like the USC side, don't bet it at 9.5. Wait, you might be able to get 10. And he said, like last week, and this as well as I know this, everybody comes in on Notre Dame on Friday night and Saturday. So they're going to be betting, Notre Dame. So I was trying to get ahead of that number change. So that I didn't have to cover, if they win by 10, then they're good. So anyway, the way this game kind of breaks down is, USC is off of a win against Michigan, and they looked pretty good. I think what was surprising more so to me than anything in that specific spot is that their defense was able to stand up to the Michigan run game. Of course, the best running back Michigan had got hurt, so that forget what his name is, but they had to take him out of the game. And Bryce Underwood's not ready to put the whole offense on him and make that happen. So I thought that was interesting. But now we're getting ready to see a different animal here. Notre Dame, I think, has been downplayed in the market a little bit because of the opening couple of games. Look, this kid CJ Carr's been really good. Now I know Mayava for USC, he is QBR number 1 in the whole country. He's number 1, but CJ Carr's number 11. So that's not like, hey, I've got the number 1 quarterback against some yahoo over here. quarterback number 11 out of 135 schools. That's pretty damn good. So you got a great quarterback matchup going on in this game. And where you kind of look at this is USC's offense is really good, but they're going to face a elite Notre Dame defense. I'm looking at my notes here on this particular game, and that they specifically have a great pass defense, and their rush defense is very formidable. So where you can see a little bit of an edge to like maybe USC on offense is success rate. Their success rate is pretty high on offense. Success rate is number one, but the defensive success rate for Notre Dame is where they might struggle in this game a little bit. Now, success rate measures the movement of the ball and generating first down. So if USC is able to keep the ball and hold the ball and not allow Notre Dame to have it, that could be an issue. So that's where there might be a little bit there. But I think the one thing that you can see from this is when you look at available yards, Notre Dame is plus 0.16%, and available yards, USC is plus 0.21. Well, that kind of tends for me to believe that USC and the big play ability that they have is going to be limited. I think because Notre Dame's defense will be able to keep that in play. Now, the offense for Notre Dame is a much, much bigger edge here. They have a good offense that ranks offensively, EPA per drive, they rank 16th, or not EPA per play, they rank 16th, and the offense ranks 25th, going against the 50th ranked defense or the 54th ranked defense, whichever you're looking at. They have a big edge, offense to defense, for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not going to have too much of an issue moving the football. And I think that matters because look at specifically passing. They're ranked 15th to the defensive 54th, and running they're 45th to 69th. Available yards is 27th to 107. So that's the flaw in USC. USC defense, and Michigan can't exploit that. Where you have an offense now with Notre Dame that you can. So then third down success, you have a spot here where USC is in decline on defense to stop downs, and net field position slightly favors Notre Dame. But if the field position slightly favors Notre Dame, then you got to amplify that by saying they got home field an advantage too. And then you have Notre Dame with the second toughest strength of schedule so far, and USC at 39. And then the other issue. Let me go to the other issue here. Let me go back to this game. I got to find it on my other spreadsheet. There it is. So you look at this, and Notre Dame is +1 on turnovers, and USC is plus 0.07. Now, that's not a significant amount, but it is when you factor in home field edge to go with it. And then yards per play margin, this is USC we're talking about. They're 23rd. Well, they're supposed to have this great big offense, and they do. But why is it only 23rd? Well, it's because their defense takes away from all of that. And then you look at where Notre Dame is, they're 14th. I think that matters, and I think that's going to play into this game a lot. And then the last part that went into the handicap of this game is this is 45-degree weather and 20% chance of rain in this game. So when you kind of look at it, I think that where this game comes down to is they got a home field edge. Their defense is dominant well, I shouldn't say dominant. Notre Dame has a defense that can limit what USC does. USC's defense is going to struggle. And then the turnover edge is slight plus the home field. I think that you sit there and you go, well, what's that come out to? Well, the model says 31-20 Notre Dame over USC, and I agree with it. And USC at Notre Dame at home. So I went with that game. I didn't want to pay 10. I didn't want to pay over 10. I think it's going to get there. So if you like USC, wait. If you like Notre Dame, you need to get in on them now.
I'm going to pull this up one more time for everyone just joining us. Again, Scotty's in-pocket plays. Pitt minus 10.5, A&M minus 7.5, Washington plus 6, Alabama minus 8, Notre Dame minus 9.5 there. Scotty, another week in the books. We got baseball today. We got baseball tonight, NCAA. Good slate. A couple great games there to watch. And then Saturday, the full slate. And then, of course, NFL on Sunday. Closing thoughts.
Well, I think there's a lot of really good games this weekend. I mean, Mississippi plays Georgia. The Alabama game's a good game. You've got Texas A&M. You got some stuff going on. I think we're going to sort some stuff out a little bit this weekend. Not a lot, but a little bit. Utah and the Holy War. And all that stuff. It's going to be a good weekend of college football. I wish we had some more questions and some people wanting to have other breakdowns of some of those games because I've got them. I mean, they're here. I did a lot of analysis on all that stuff to go over those things. But I think you're going to see some good football. I think you're going to see a few upsets this weekend. But I think the number one thing to keep in mind as you do college football is just remember which team's better than the other team. And then as you're doing that, the line is supposed to make them equal. And then, when you develop, the skill set to analyze what's going on, I think it's important to kind of look at where everything falls in and what that means to the outcome of the game. Because I heard Brad Powers, and I bring him up a lot just because he's supposed to be the football guru of college football, right? Well, he's a 500-ish better, and on his public record. And anyway, what he said was, my numbers, because of the football season's half over. He's like, my betting numbers are tight. That's meaning that his power rankings are very similar to what the lines are. Okay, well, what value is that then? Well, so then he went and said, well, so I'm doing a lot of situational spots. I'm doing, well, this team had this week off, so they got a weekend to prepare. This other team didn't, so that puts them in a great spot. Like he wants to bet against Bowling Green this week because Bowling Green had an amazing comeback last week, and stuff like that. Don't get caught up in all that. I mean, those are spots that make sense sometimes, but vet that stuff out real heavily, because the reason I'm telling you that is because just because Bowling Green beat Toledo when they were behind 21-7 and had an amazing rally and had two big plays doesn't mean that they're high on their hobby horse. That's a whole program trying to put things back together with a new head coach. Trying to get things going over there for them. So they might carry that momentum into this game. They play Central Michigan, for God's sakes. So I look at this and I go, gambling and sports betting has become a lot about situational plays. What do you see on the internet right now on Twitter over and over and over? I think what I see on the internet right now over and over and over, especially in the NFL, is, if it's a standalone primetime game, you got to bet the dog. That's what it says. It says bet the dog. Just bet the dog, right? Because they've won, I think, 6 out of the last 7 games or something like that. Look, that's just happenstance. And I get all of those things. But at the same time, I'm telling you all this stuff. Just make sure that when you're putting your money there and you click the button or you walk up to the window, you have solidified in your mind why you're doing what you're doing. And that means you need to have conviction at the window. Just do it that way. It's your hard-earned money, it's your hard-earned cash that you're putting on these games. And if you're just doing it to watch the game and have some fun, and you put $20 on it and you don't care, well, I don't, whatever, it is pizza money. But if you're putting $2,000 down on a game, I expect that was hard-earned money. You want that money to pay off for you. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure there's a reason why you're doing those things. And I think that's important, that every season you lose sight of all of that stuff, and you get involved in these guys that say all this shit on all these shows and stuff, and they don't give you solid analysis and solid reasons to do whatever. And whether you like what I do or you don't like what I do, at least I try to give you an understanding of how the game breaks down, and how to read the information, and then decide on what you want to do with it. It's not perfect. I think last week we were 4-1 though. So that's not terrible. And if I can go 4-1 every week, I'll be happy.
Guys, what he's trying to say here very simply is this. When you see all the commotion going on social media, and that's what it is, it's entertainment. And football's the one sport that I think everyone has a couple go-to people. But when the people that you're following are grasping at straws, and that's what I'm going to say, is usually the pivot is, I'm going to play these pre-flop, but I'm making all my money in-game. When you hear that, jump, mute, fly. That means their analysis before the kickoff is probably wrong, and they're trying to tell you, well, I was able to get in game, I was able to get out, and I was able to make money because I'm able to buy these numbers in a 5-minute commercial. Okay. For myself, I've been doing this here publicly for 10 years. Scotty's been right with me. My first wager was in 1975. Red Sox Reds World Series. I was in 5th grade, and I've been playing ever since. Okay, I learned from my mistakes. I'll put my eyes against anyone when it comes reading the market. I'll put my trust in Scotty, what he does, because we do the work. Now, are we perfect? Of course not. If you can hit 52.8% at minus 110, you're going to break even. If you can get to that 54, 55%, well, you're making bankroll. But it's what you do with that bankroll. Scotty hasn't used this word in a long time. I will. Go to the window with conviction. Period. End of discussion. You go in, you see what you like, you have a reason why you like it, and then you go to the window and place that wager. And you don't get involved in the end game. You don't try to get out. If it's the wrong side, turn the page. But what I do is, when I have a wrong side, I go back and figure out why. Okay, sometimes it's shit luck. Sometimes it was my eyes. Sometimes it was just a bad beat. It's all part of the process, people. But what Scotty's trying to say, and I'm trying to say, is it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's October 17th. We still got 14 days in this month. You still got November. You still got December. Oh, by the way, in January, you got the bowl games, the championship games, and you got the NFL playoffs. And in February, you got the Super Bowl. I'll be locked and loaded in the NCAA basketball in 2 weeks, November 1st. But my point is, guys, we do this for educational purposes. We do this. I use the word investing. I hate the word gambling. If you want to use gambling and you think you're a professional gambler or wannabe, good luck. But my point is here, we're here every day trying to educate you guys. As Scotty keeps harping, ask some questions. Hey, guys, I like this game. This is why I like this game, and I'll tell you what the market says, and Scotty will tell you when it comes to EPA and all the other stuff on why he likes a side. So, again, I can't thank you guys enough. PB, everyone else retweeting, thank you guys. Myself and Scotty will be back on Monday morning to recap the weekend. We'll get you set up for the following week. It's just, rinse, repeat. It's Groundhog Day every day here. So I'll be on with Andrew McGinnis in 8 minutes or so on the Wager Talk and Ed McGinnis Picks, and at 11 a.m. Nick Hathcote will be back talking Notre Dame and his in-pocket plays. And then Tyler Wyatt will be here. Hopefully he's got his internet and power back at 11:30, and we'll wrap up the week. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB, we wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourself. Plenty of action out there, guys. Stay in your lanes. Have some fun with it. And stay tuned.